unbeatable as unbeatable lately as he used to. So should be fun to see what this PvZ turns into. Starting it off with our boy in the bottom right, the blue Protoss is Team Liquid's Harstem.
And in the top left-hand side is the red Zerg player playing for Team Clash. It's Reynor.
All right, I'm gonna use your pro Zerg knowledge. Tell me about Nightshade and what you like to do as a Zerg.
Well, one of the things that this map brought forward beautifully was the Queen March, which was an old strategy. It's nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little better at using it around BlizzCon, where we would skip spores and stuff and perfect the build order. So that would be a very good counter to Oracle plays, but Harstem actually has a response that's... Like, Harstem knows in theory how to respond every single Queen all-in. Obviously, he still needs to scout them, which is not super easy, but if you know what to scout for, it's definitely holdable. So then this map is obviously very short, so it's also pretty good for his Swarm host if your opponent plays standard, where even without a Nidus, you just walk across the map and launch your local host. But most recently, what this map turned out to be is just an adept map, and Zerg trying to defend the adepts, because you can pylon block your opponent's natural, even without a 13 pylon, just a normal 14 pylon scout. The Protoss will go and block the Zerg's natural, and then go into this Twilight Council robo build where they go across the map with 4 gateways and glaives, and it's very, very hard for Zerg to defend. Then transition into playing it like we saw from Zest.
Wow, that was literally everything I feel like could ever happen in the matchup.
No, just the standard options, no worries. There's loads of stuff that you can hit on the ladder if you're playing against
Yo,
my boy Strange.
Yeah, when we start getting onto the European ladder, that's when you know it's gonna get crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
there we go with Stargate actually. But yeah, I think Harstem is pretty confident holding the Queen post. This is the best map I think. Not sure we've ever had, but this is the best map in a long time for the Queen push, because you actually don't have to go up a ramp into your opponent's natural, and the Protoss is kind of choked up behind his natural. So if you need to obviously make shield batteries and cannons, and there's not actually that much space behind the wall, so you crosser bites are very strong, and then the distance is short. So all of that combined makes for a very strong Queen March map. Harstem actually went for double chrono boost on the gateway, which Reynor saw, so he went for Krypton first on the Queen at third base, but not a very early third Queen, so he will need to make a lot of Zerglings if he doesn't want to lose any drones.
Yep, second Adept about to join up, so the two of them together will get aggressive right now. The two Adepts going to move up in towards the main base. Obviously, a few extra drones just building. The first few lings scary enough to ward those Adepts away, and Harstem won't commit in. So Reynor will get away with that one. And the Adept's just going to come all the way back home, play very safely as the Oracle comes up, and a Twilight Council nice and quickly behind it. So very fast Twilight. A Glaives follow-up or something a bit different, like a Archon drop still?
Glaives for sure.
Yeah.
Archon drop would start with Robo after Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he likes 4 gate Glaives actually, not even 3. I think he usually does 4. Either way, that was actually very, very passive play with the Adepts. A lot of Protosses would have just shaded in there. I think he just respects his opponent too much to do that very often against top players. Harstem tends to just go for the safer option, thinking that they're going to be good enough to defend. Although Reynor only had 1 Queen and 4 lings per base, so he definitely would have gotten 2-3 drones, I think, if he actually ran into the third base and then shaded into the main.
Well,
but obviously keeping the Adepts obviously also good for the Glaives follow-up and for taking the third base earlier.
Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, it's just extra units already on the third base. You don't have to worry as much. I mean, the Oracle's there to help take the third as well, right? So, in general, not an issue. And the Oracle even going to activate for a couple of lings, which are going to dart back in towards the natural. Adept is in the wall-off. And Harstem just going to try and hunt, and he will get a couple of extra lings for it. So, clean up a little bit there. And now we do see Reynor making his move in towards the Rotron. Starts up that lair as well in the main base. So already sort of setting himself up, taking the extra gas. Obviously, a big part of this is shutting down those Adepts. I mean, the Adept Glaives is ready in like the next 30 seconds or so. It's, I guess, Roach is out just about the right time to deal with that.
It's actually There's a very there's a bit that I haven't seen before ever, which is just 2-gate glaives. He still has a decent amount of adepts actually with the glaives, and because of his build order, he managed to take his third base at a time where usually I would never expect glaives, but Reynor actually managed to. I mean, he on accident scouted the adepts with the queens, and he already has a decent amount of Zerglings. Like I think this is pretty okay for Reynor. He's actually even over-committing on the defense. Like, these roaches are not necessary. Obviously, he doesn't know that there's only 2 gates. He could, theoretically, by just the timing of the third nexus. But he was probably surprised himself just now.
Yeah, hard to put it all together, especially like you say, if you're a bit shocked, like, wait, what is this? And then, you know, putting the rest of that info together beyond that is a little bit tough, as things will just run past and go for the counter again still. Well, this time a Stalker in the wall. Sentry's behind to help defend as well. As Harstem is going into his first Immortal Charge and a +1 attack behind this as well. So, going to what is more kind of a traditional follow-up. We've seen a lot of, like, Blink Stalkers following up, but actually, never mind any of that, because the Queens are indeed marching. And they are coming for Harstem here on Nightshade.
Yeah.
Oh, not good.
This is like the newer school of Queen March, where you just, it looks like a normal macro opener, and then you just start moving across even though you have a lair.
Yeah.
And usually it catches the pros off guard because it's way harder to scout. You can see Harstem way over probe, way over probe, and he's gonna have to defend 2 bases now.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough. Oh, the Lings probably could have been in there on the natural. In fact, they're going to turn back around and still get in anyways. As Harstem trying to fight at the front, the Lings go into the main base. I mean, that's just a disaster. When you all of a sudden you have to go deal with the Lings already in your main, it's really problematic. So Harstem having a tough time as the probes do pull away in the main. The Lings might get an Immortal. It's going to be pretty close. Okay, they're going to get there as the Adepts go down. Meanwhile, the third base, obviously, is just so much from Reynor, and like you said, he's built too many probes. He has no shield batteries or anything to help this out, and that on top of the Lings getting into the main makes this a really tough hold. As it starts to look a bit better because it's just Ravagers and they go down pretty quick, but then you realize reinforcements are coming across the map, and obviously there's nothing to micro these Immortals with, so they are starting to go down in numbers too, and it's getting a little rough here for Harstem.
This is surprisingly close, honestly.
Yeah, I felt like
he's gonna die now because the Immortals are starting to get low and the probes are undefended, I think, at the third, but I thought he would just get stomped, like completely stomped.
No, I was kind of with you, right? When you see no shield batteries or anything, you don't really know what's coming. Kind of feels like one of those scenarios where, like, the first 2 Immortals die and then everything else is already dead, and it's just like, okay, cool, it's over. Those 2 Immortals do die right there, and it is absolutely over now. But yeah, I know what you mean. I definitely felt like it should have been a bit more one-sided given the circumstances. Reynor taking the first game here against Harstem, picking up the first map, and obviously that's good for him. Again, after a loss against Clem, he's really looking to pick up a win here to sort of solidify himself in this group. Second place, a bit better than third place as well for Seed and Perps. Right now, starting us off in the top right-hand side, our Blue Products player down a map representing Team Liquid. It is Harstem.
And in the bottom left, trying to make the score a 3-1 in his favor, it's Clash's Reynor.
Yeah, Reynor, yeah, it's actually, I mean, you could kind of end up with a crazy group here, right? Like, Harstem could go 3-1 still. Like, anything's really still possible. Obviously, Harstem has to beat Reynor for that. And then, obviously, beat Denver, too. Like, there's a lot to go on.
3 people 2-2. If Denver beats Harstem, Harstem beats Reynor, in theory.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Clem could go 4-0. I mean, Denver could also beat Clem and go 3-1 himself. Like, and then Clem's also 3-1, and Clem's not necessarily out of the group in first place, too. So there's a lot still going on here. The only thing known for sure is that Rail was eliminated 0-4. Took a map of Clem, but that was about it. As that happened earlier, first few series were all the Rail matches. And then we spice it up a little bit, getting into these matches now, which are really starting to determine how this group looks.
Yeah, Harstem this time going for the Cybercore Scout or even no Scout. Lately, I've talked with him about this. I actually think no Scouting, even though it barely makes a difference, that's why the Pearls players always Cybercore Scout, can be more annoying to deal with as a Zerg because you have to scout for proxies. Because Usually, at least Korean Protosses or top Protosses in general, if they don't scout, they always proxy. I'm not sure why they do this. I mean, I know why they do this, but it's so blatantly obvious. Like every single time they don't go for a scout at all, it's always a proxy Stargate. That I would think they would like fake scout with it or something, or try to go no scout with just no proxy, which is what Harstem is doing now. So yeah, that's why he started improving this as well. The reason you would always go Cybercore Scout if you don't scout is because you just have a probe doing, like, basically oversaturating your base for a little while instead of scouting, which if you Cybercore Scout you still lose against a 12 pool, but it's still nice to like confirm a third base. Stuff like that. Force your opponent to make Zerglings as well. If you don't scout at all, in theory the Zerg can just not make Zerglings.
Yeah.
Which would be greedy against stuff like Proxy Stargate though.
Alright, well there you go. As it is just going to be the regular Stargate here from Harstem. So not really changing much up in terms of the tech choice just yet. Of course, we'll see where it goes from there as the Ling gets in towards the main, and it will get through to see the Stargate before the Adept can catch it. So nice starting scout from Reynor. How much does this help you when you get that Ling in early to see the Stargate?
It helps you, I mean, it helps you a little bit because usually if it's Oracle like it is here, it means that one of your Overlords will stay alive. Otherwise, if the Zerg doesn't get in, you see the second Adept, you go in with the Overlord that was at its natural, so it's basically 100 minerals saved, like 30 seconds from now.
Which is also nice. As the Adept from Harstem will start to move out, so 2 Adepts, and once again we'll see what he wants to get up to this time. Well, this time around, Reynor has 3 Queens up. He's got a good amount of Lings here. There shouldn't really be any issue at all for Reynor to defend as Harstem. This is the kind of scenario where you kind of hope for him that he kind of plays as passively with these as he did previously. The Ling's actually just going to go and dive forwards onto these Adepts, while the Oracle is here to help them out, and they will cancel the Shade. So Adepts alive, but, I mean, force an Oracle energy to be used defensively to help the Adepts is Oracle energy not used on your drone line.
Exactly, yeah. But usually the first Oracle should never really do any damage on the drone line to begin with, so Harstem always starts like this on this map. It is also nice to contain the cruise threat towards the watchtower, because you can see when the cruise threat's forward and then take it off, if he's looking at it right now.
Yeah, unfortunately just not quite paying attention, I guess.
Yeah. Harstem actually going for a very greedy build, which is a 2 Stargate Phoenix after a 4-minute third base. So there's a yeah, well, I mean, as I said, very greedy build, but it's also, it fakes Reynor out into thinking that he's playing against a normal opener, because usually with 2 Stargate, your third Nexus wouldn't even be started yet, or it would be started around 4:30, between 4:30 and 5 minutes. So it might not be on his radar right now, that it could be Phoenix. Also, one thing that is working very much against Reynor right now is that he went home with this Overlord at first, so he doesn't lose it, so he has actually no Overlord close by, which means that Harstem didn't even need to show 1 Phoenix.
Yeah.
So yeah, Reynor has no idea. He's making a Roachborn right now, playing completely standards. And that is, his lair is a little bit too late to, I think, go for a reactive Nidus. What he needs to do right now is possibly split up his Zerglings to try and see the Phoenix leave the base at the very least.
Queen's coming forwards and getting a couple shots on Oracles, which that was a bit of a...
Oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah, activating both the pulsar beams for no reason, and he...
What? That was also a mistake.
Did he just share the Adepts? Well, yeah. Has to recall them out of there. Couple of misplays from Harstem back to back there. Not exactly what you wanted.
Oh, is the Overlord gonna see the Stargates? No.
It's gonna try and go for it. I think it's too far away, right? So...
Yeah, and he doesn't have the Watchtower either. So this Phoenix can do quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, they're gonna show up against 5 Queens that are very spread out. Spore Crawl, you know, not even next to Spore Crawls or anything. Oh, finds a couple in the center, so he's gonna lift those. Gets the one with the high energy first, and actually lifts the other just in case it did have transfuse energy. So nice to slow that down. And 2 Queens already down, and now Reynor knows and immediately drops down the Hydra's Den. Just has to spend one more bit of energy to get rid of that Queen there. A lot of Lings across the map. I mean, this is generally what the Phoenix openers are not great against, because the Ling count is obviously very good, but with double Oracle as the start, you obviously do have that little bit extra to help out against these Zerglings than usual.
Yeah. And losing these Queens is really, really big. It forces you to make way more spores. Usually making 1 spore per base and maybe an extra spore to zone them out in the main base and the natural should be enough with the Queens walking around, but he needs a lot of queens. Like you need around 5 queens walking around, which he has 5 queens now, but that would also mean that he has no inject queens. And these are obviously remade queens, so this is a very, very good start to the game for Harstem. Also getting away with a relatively greedy opener. Like I think his opener, if the Zerg plays Nidus, it can't hold it possibly if the Zerg plays correctly. So obviously taking a little bit of a risk here and having some nice mind games with a normal double Oracle opener. And yeah, as you said, that also works against the Zergling run that Reynor is attempting here. Yep. Although he's not getting too much done with the Phoenix right now, just containing Reynor pretty much.
Yeah, has been pretty lackluster considering the Phoenix was so well hidden, etc. So gets an Overlord now, going to find 2 along this bottom side, so finding some openings, and there's another couple Overlords possibility. And I mean, into this main base now, you start getting a bunch of these drones, and he's going to kill a good amount of workers. This is where you start to slow Reynor down a bit. Does lose 1 Phoenix, but he killed 9 drones, and obviously that's just 10 drones that Reynor has to rebuild.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure why he went back into the corner, because there's only 1 queen in the spore. I think you just, go back and keep trading for drones. Phoenix have a lot of HP, even if you lose a couple of... Like, he lost a second Phoenix here, that's completely fine for 14 drones.
Yeah, slowing down that economy a lot obviously helps in the future as you see the big warping of High Templars, so already preparing for the next stage of this. We'll just go Archons for the moment. Obviously, when you've got the Hydras as like a priority unit from Reynor, there's going to be a lot of them on the map to help deal with the Phoenix, so Storm is something which is typically nice, right? To really kind of, just because Hydras are so flimsy, Storm is so good against them, so I imagine Harstem won't wait too long before moving towards that. Just really solidifying himself up on 4 bases right now, and again, for me, I think that's one of the next things on the checklist. And there he is, starting up the Storm on the Temple Archives.
Yeah, I'm also surprised he didn't go Storm right away because he was super safe. Considering the opening, although like there is a new follow-up to the 2 Stargate Phoenix, which is the Zest way, where he goes in with 2 Archons and the War Prism and the Phoenix from the same angle, and then goes for a big frontal push at the same time, where he doesn't get Storm, just goes with mass Archon charge slot, which is also decently powerful, but obviously just making Archons before the Templars is not bad at all either. They're gonna help out later anyways against the Banelings.
Yeah.
And yeah, very nice situation overall for Harstem to go into late game. I'm not sure if this is a situation, even though he's ahead, where he can push, but this would be a great setup to just make a fleet beacon like right now already. Like he would be super safe.
Yeah, just start building up into those carriers. What's Reynor going to do to kill you, right? Like, he can attack you onto a 4th base where you've got a good army set up, you're going to have Storm available. You're just not going to kill him. So yeah, I like what you're saying, right? Get a fleet beacon, get carriers up, and I feel like it's the sort of thing that Harstem doesn't shy away from when he feels like he's in a strong position. Get set up into that, build up that carrier count, throw some zealots around the map to keep the Zerg busy, and really just play to the strength of knowing you can get into a later stage. He is going to come across the right side. We'll see how aggressive he ends up being. But it is tough because it's a long way to walk, and he's going to be pushing onto a lot of creep if he really wants to kind of get deep here to kind of hit a base or so.
Yeah, he's making the fleet beacon right now, and I like this move out because he can always disengage with the Storm, which these High Templars are very far away, by the way.
Yeah, they're way back for the moment. Nice stasis.
Because he has a lot of Zealots running into Natural right now. And he needs to trade those away eventually to make his army better. Okay, here comes the disengage with the Storm, and at the same time the Zealots hitting an undefended base, getting already 10 drones.
Yeah, 10 drones, Smoker is going down, and obviously Reynor has to send a real good amount of army back to deal with this, like a good amount of Hydras, not just Zerglings, and it actually means that Harstem can keep pressing forwards. That's the Archons soak up a couple of these Banes, so this 4th base in the front in some trouble. Drones have to pull away alongside some Hydras, not the best of Storms there. As he tries to push this further back, he probably doesn't get the base, but I mean, it does force the drones back. And again, look at these Zerglings re-engaging into Archons is never great. That's a great Storm on top of the Hydras. Now hitting some of the Lings and Banes running down. Unfortunately, he does lose a bunch of High Templar, and the Archons die as well. It's just the damage output of those Hydras is scary.
Yeah, that's a very risky Archon warping right now. I would have not done that.
Oh my god.
Also, he's starting carrier production at home right now. Yeah, I don't think that was the play.
No, I really loved everything until like the last 20 seconds of this, where it was just one too many re-engagements, where it was just now the Hydras are all back, the Zealots and the Natural were dealt with, and so Reynor does have everything there, and then all of those Archons went down. Now it's a little bit tough to get to carriers, right, because Now you've also got to start reinvesting in all of those tech units that you lost while building carriers, so you definitely put yourself to be, you're a bit more exposed than you were, and one of the carrier stargates goes down the front, and it tells Reynor that this carrier is on the way.
I cannot believe he put the fleet beacon and stargate at the front.
Yeah, the fleet beacon's a real question mark for the 4th base location.
Super exposed. Those are really expensive as well. Fleet beacon, I think, is 300 to 200 or 250. It's 300, 200.
That's crazy. As we do see the Zealots down the left-hand side, chasing around a few Zerglings. I mean, the few Hydras coming in, there's a couple of Zealots will be shot down. I mean, it just feels like Harstem's still in a fine position, right? It's just the advantage what really felt like a great advantage is now slowed down a lot. His carrier production is halted. He's kind of stalling out a little bit, and that's fine because Reynor's not exactly been teching up massively either, but it does maybe give Reynor a couple of extra chances to start pulling the game back in his favor, of course.
Yeah, Reynor was very, very committed on this attack until he killed the fleet beacon. Like, if there was continuous carrier production, he really needed to kill Harstem right now, right? As it is now, he can, in theory, drone up a little bit, but he smells weakness in Harstem's defense.
Yeah.
There's no High Templar with Storm close by. There's only 2 carriers, which are pretty useless with 1 interceptor each right now.
Yeah, the Hydra count's really good, but the units from the top side that just cleaned up a Hydra force on the 5th base is now coming in. That's where these Hydras are going to have to back away. But of course, you're trading out Ling Bane, you're keeping the Hydras alive. Usually that's what you're aiming for as the Zerg anyways, right? So
yeah,
this is okay. But it does mean that he's then rebuilt and he's traded. And I mean, again, it still is just these couple carriers. Harstem is not rebuilt into more carriers at all just yet.
Yeah, maybe he realized that there's no... Oh, actually, Zealot Warp in the main base. Somehow the Warp Prism got in. That's huge. Because now that also triggers Harstem to move out a little bit further at the front. So Reynor does need to split his army. He's careful because he doesn't have Warp Prism with the front army, so he goes back there. But kills some workers again. And he also sees... he sees the Hive is done now, but he did not see a Greater Spire. Not sure if he thinks that... Obviously, there could be a Greater Spire at the 3rd base, which he wouldn't have seen, but... Yeah. Rebuilding the fleet beacon, I think either way the correct call.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Eternal Empire. It's like this map against like Ling Bane Hydra feels very difficult to end the game on without going into that like real late game army, I think, right? Like, unless you get into like a really good spot, how do you push to fight it? It's really tough. Is a Ling run back and try and hit this base? Hydra's brought this low earlier, and it is going to be very close, but it will just survive. 14 health. As at the meantime, Zealots on the bottom side are killing another 8 workers. The thing is about every single one of these Zealot run-bys is that none of them are like 8 Zealots and they walk in and like Banelands catch them and they die instantly. It's like every time it's like a good chunk of workers and then they get cleaned up and you've got to pull army back to deal with it. You're never in position. Just consistent harassment from Harstem that continues to catch Reynor off guard.
Look at the 4 links at the top.
He wants this base, man.
I can't believe he left the base alone.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm a little
with
bit...
nothing there at all. Oh my god. The falling base snipe. It was so close to being done as well. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Few Bane's gonna morph into these as well.
Morphing the Denver Banes.
That's kind of sick, but Harstem does see them warps and Zealots to go charging through, and that will clean out. As Harstem's out on the left-hand side here, so he's got a couple of Storms to help out, of course. Hits one on a few of the Banes walking forwards. In general, is still scared of that larger carrier force, but it's also pulling the army to the left as the Zealots are, guess what, back on the right-hand side. Dealing a little bit more damage and again, continuing to kind of leverage Harstem into a bit more of an advantage here. Continue to push through. Got a Cobb service so you can clean out some creep as well.
Yeah, I think at this point Harstem can actually just kill him because his army is almost pure Archon High Templar. If you remember the first push, he was also almost maxed, but that was with like 30 Zealots. Yeah. Right now he has 7 Zealots left, and this is like 11 Archons, 8 High Templars, 2 carriers. There's so much HP that the Hydras have to fight. Yeah. Which forces the Hydras to fight all together, which then makes them much weaker against Storm. So this is a very powerful army from Harstem.
Yeah, but Zealots go charging in. I mean, this natural expansion is in some real trouble. This is a horrible position for Reynor to fight in now, because you're always going to be running through choke points into this, and meanwhile Zealots are again on the bottom side. So yeah, you're in a really tough spot, because where do you engage this from? I have no idea. I mean, some Lings on the counter-attack will start to get some probes here and there, but that's very minimal compared to what you're losing out already, and the Storms are very good to start on those Hydralisks. And yeah, there's just, it feels like there's no power in this army of Reynor anymore. Like, he's on mass Hydras, but the Protoss really has an answer to mass Hydras. So
yeah, you can't do it. Like, if you send it forward like 5 Hydras at a time, so you don't die to Storm, you die to the Archons and the carriers. If you send forward all the Hydras, this is what happens right now.
yeah, pretty tough. But I mean, that means we're probably gonna get a game 3. We will, because Harstem gets Reynor to type out the GG, and we are going to a third map. Harstem keeping this one alive. A pretty awesome game from Harstem, who's our blue Protoss in this bottom right hand side. I feel like it gives us a lot of hope going into this third map now.
Yeah, especially if our red Zerg player in the top left hand side will get a bit of a better start maybe into the game. We're gonna get, like, if we get a macro game where they both start. Or did I say the name? Reynor? I wanted to do it similar to you, but I think I forgot to.
You forgot the name. It's tough, man. You know, that's why they pay me all the Twitch Prime subs. You know.
Yeah, I see. Well, you're the biggest Starcraft streamer on the block.
We're not there yet, but you know, progressing.
Yeah.
Someday.
No, but yeah. What I was about to say is that if I think these two get into an even macro game, I think it's gonna be amazing, because Harstem can actually play late game with all the zealot run-bys, and we know how Reynor can also make good work of his Zergling run-bys and Baning run-bys.
Yeah, it should be really good. Like, I feel like obviously this is a bit of a tighter map in terms of size as well, right? Like, there's not as much space compared to Eternal Empire, so those counters can hit a lot faster, but it also means armies can move back to deal with them much more quickly as well. So you really get this little battle of who can make those work, who can keep up with them, and a lot of movement necessary to kind of keep moving back and forth into position back, you know, all the time. So I'm excited to see what indeed happens. Real intrigued to see what Harstem's build is, because obviously he's 2 Stargates in a row at this stage, and you know, as a Zerg as well, when you're kind of seeing Stargate a few times in a row, every time you've got to be asking yourself, well, what kind of Stargate is it? You know, what is it this time? You know, in that last game, those Phoenix came completely unaware, unbeknownst to Reynor, and then, you know, put him into a bit of a tough spot. So he's got to always be kind of second guessing what's coming up beyond that this time around. So we'll see what he can do to figure that out.
Yeah, if I had to guess with Harstem, since he didn't block, I would say it's just a normal Stargate into Oracle third base opener with like no real pressure besides maybe 2 or 4 adepts shedding across the map. Harstem is relatively predictable. He doesn't have that many openings. Most of them start adept, oracle. And Reynor knows that just like me, so he knows pretty much what he's up against. But Harstem is so good at these openings that it doesn't really matter. Like even if he doesn't find openings, he's still gonna be in an okay position if the macro game comes along. So yeah, we'll see what he gets into.
Absolutely. Stargate about to finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got double chrono boost as well on the adept, so we'll see if he goes in this time, because the last game he also went for a double chrono boost, but the adept needed to go back for the Zergling run by, so we'll see what happens this time around.
Yeah, 2 adepts together. About to show us what is up. As we see the Stalker producing as well. I mean, we're gonna see no Phoenix, of course, at least right away, as the 2 adepts will shade up, sees 4 lings and a queen there as well. So not gonna commit again. Pretty safe passive play for the 2 adepts, and straight to the Twilight Council. Kind of a throwback to game number 1 a little bit here, going straight to the Twilight, likely to see Glaives as the next step.
Yep. Also, again, sticking around a little bit with the depths, guarded by the Oracle, of course. And those Zerglings do not have speed yet. He's going to get a bunch of those with the Oracle if he micros correctly.
Yep, running forwards and can just tag and tag and tag. 3 seconds to go for speed. He's going to get, oh my god, all but 1. Wow. That's a lot of ling losses early in the game. All 9 going down.
And that's pretty much just delayed drone losses, because you need to rebuild the lings, so that would be drones that would be popping in 5 to 10 seconds from now. So killing these, I don't know how many, was it 8 or 10 lings? Pretty much like killing 4 to 5 drones.
Yep. Yeah, it's really, really nice as the Glaive starts up and the 3rd Nexus starts beyond it. The Robo Facility to eventually follow up too. Are we just going to see like 2 gates again here? Do you think he's going to add a couple more? I mean, it's already a bit late for the couple extra gates, right?
Yeah,
So
it's 2. If it would be more, it would be before the Robo. So this is, I guess, a new special build that I haven't seen from him yet. Looks cool. It looks like pretty much just a normal 2-gate Oracle pressure, but instead he has also glaives, which, I mean, it delays his forge, I guess, a little bit.
yeah.
And probably also eventually the gas is on his third base if he wants to stay safe and add extra gateways, since obviously these minerals otherwise would go into earlier probes and production.
Well, Reynor going to bring Lings back down the bottom as we do have the Adepts. Harstem still just looking for an opening. It feels like Reynor's doing all right against this though, right? I mean, the Lings are well spotted to kind of set this up. The Roaches are about to be here. Harstem looks like he wants to commit to the side so he can get on top of these Lings a little bit. Leaves 2 Adepts down in the natural as well. As the Lings do commit in on the high ground, he's actually target firing down a Queen, which means the Lings stay alive a very long time. I feel like that wasn't the best way to do that in the main, because obviously he doesn't get the Queen kill either. 4 drones on the natural was the most successful part of this, but that's all those Adepts lost out on. It obviously is not too great.
Yeah, that was not the best control by Harstem. Obviously, it's not a super committed build, but he's very little units at home right now, so there's not going to be... Like, if you would just go for a passive 3 Oracle play, you would have a relatively early Icon timing to clear creep afterwards. Like, you can move out with your first couple of Icons and War Prism. That's the kind of stuff that's going to be delayed. His gases on his third base could already be taken. Again, that's the kind of stuff he sacrifices for being able to pressure with this build while also taking a fast third Nexus. Alright, activates the Oracle for a couple of Zerglings.
Yeah, I'm going to push those back away up to the upper left-hand side, so... Again, just deflecting as the Nidus comes down, and we're going to see the Swarmhost Nidus to take us away into this game 3. I'd say you love to see it, but I don't think anyone really does. I'm not gonna lie, but... It's nice to change it up, you know, every game looking that much different here in this series, so that is a fun part of it.
I mean, it's definitely not as common anymore, so I'm not sure if people still hate it as much. Probably
that is true.
They still do from last year, but...
It just brings up the PTSD, you know? You're like, no, not again!
Yeah, it's a lot less powerful than last year, that's for sure.
Yeah. I actually feel like we've seen a few people try it, and we've had a lot of like very good defense against it as well. Like, I feel like Protoss players have really got a bit of a lockdown on what to do against it, how you respond, you know, figuring it out a little bit, making sure you scout out those Niduses and deny them early on. Obviously, this one will not go denied, so we will have Swarmhost already popping out, dropping the Locust, which will hit the main, and that's a really good starting position for the first wave of Locust, because Harstem has nothing really here to defend this bar, a handful of Zealots.
Oh, he thought Charge was not done yet.
Yeah, that was not great. That feels as though it should have been so much better. A little bit sad. Next
like he should have gotten at least all those Zealots. Even just killing Zealots and that kind of stuff adds up over time.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, but Reynor is going for the slightly less committed version where you drone past 66. Also goes for an extra gas, so I assume his follow-up is going to be a Hive and a Spire most likely.
Harstem's really on top of these Niduses for the moment. That's 3 out of 3 denied. Obviously, I mean, the first one did get off and the Locust came out, but the next 2 denied pretty quickly. And so no further pressure just yet, and obviously the longer you keep those Swarm Hosts in the Nidus and not out on the map dropping Locust, the better this is for you. Now this Voider is going to find the next one also. Doesn't have Prismatic Alignment just yet. Does a Nidus network have... Yeah, it does have armor, right? Like, it definitely helps. I'm not just crazy. As you do see.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it dies right after it pops, so you don't want to unload there. Nice catch from the Roaches. He spots the next Nidus as well, and he definitely has enough units, I think, to fight a Locust wave head-on. Like, Reynor is protecting this Nidus exit, but that means that Harstem can unsplit his army, put everything together, and then fight the Locust wave. While also, like, most of these drums are 1 or 2 force field drums, so that means you can pretty much fight the Locust without the Roach.
Yeah.
Without the Roaches.
Which is obviously great. Just focus up on that as we do see Storm done as well, but he actually just lets the Locust fall down in towards the Stasis Wall, which is basically going to do the job for him. And the Void Ray and the Natural Expansion will deny this Nidus as well. Nothing will pop out of there. Again, very good coverage from Harstem so far, continuing to do a really, really good job defending. And yeah, putting himself into a prime position to kind of play the next stage of this. A Lurker Den from Reynor. Now, that is a bit of a switch up that I don't think I definitely wasn't expecting. Lurkers after Swarm Host, it's a bit new to me.
Yeah, it's usually the thing that you do if they try to defend with Blink Stalkers. Because then you can just keep using the Swarm Host offensively and you can never die, because Blink Stalkers are also really bad. Also, if you get into position against Blink Stalkers, with Lurkers on the other side of the map, you just won. But yeah, I'm also a little bit surprised by this, and I think what Harstem is doing is the perfect response. He's going into carriers, even just off 3 base is completely fine. Hydra Lurker does not exactly scale well against carriers. So even though I think he could expand, and I think he should take a 4th base now. Oh, this is a huge storm.
Wow, and great force to follow up as well. It's going to get a lot of kills here as, I mean, here comes the Swarm Host out of the Nidus network, and Harstem will respect and back up the ramp. I mean, he has Storms to help him out here, a couple of Archons. I mean, this should be fine. Drop a Storm or 2 as these Locusts come in pretty clumped. You can see Ren was trying to dodge away. That's obviously taking life off of those Swarm Hosts as well, which will just not get the first Archon. The second one will go down. It's still a really good defense across the board for Harstem against this.
Yeah. The one thing that I would like to see is a Warp Prism with this army, because you can pick up Archons like that, and they will just never die against it.
It's
actually... He also has the Warp Prism. It's just,
yeah, it's just out of position. As the Void Ray that's been doing such a good job denying bases, or one of them at least has been, or not the bases, but Nidus has been shut down in the center. Another one on the bottom side shuts down the Nidus. Next Nidus building at the top, and Reynor just going crazy for these. I mean, all over the place, just trying to set up. I mean, all of this just buying time and keeping Harstem pinned back while he builds up into the Lurker setup, right? The Seismic Spines for that extra range, so he will be onto those Lurkers soon, and with all the power-ups that you really want for them.
Yeah. So, like, these Lurkers, if you can get the upgrades before the carries are out, they're extremely powerful. Against ground army, even if it's a, like, immortal heavy ground army, you can fight very, very well if you get into position, but once the carriers are out, you need a lot of Hydras. And usually you do not have the gas for both a lot of Lurkers and a lot of Hydras. Usually it's going to be more like, if you want to be very Lurker heavy, you're also going to have a bunch of Roaches left over rather than pure Hydra. So we'll see how Reynor does this. I know that Reynor likes to play late game with Lurker, Corruptor, Viper. Yeah. So he could go into that if he's even realizes that his opponent is going into carriers. Maybe he's just going to start double Spire.
We'll see in a moment or two, because he absolutely knows now if these Locusts chasing forward to the front here, they will be cleaned out. Reynor still just poised to kind of strike. I do feel like it's very hard to make these Lurkers work on Simulacrum now with this like narrower setup, as he's going to try and push in here, and I mean, the Storm will kind of cover the entirety of this ramp in, so that's pretty tough. A few Roaches run by the 3rd base though, so something that Harstem will have to spend some time dealing with.
Yeah, they also killed 2 High Templars at the 3rd base, so maybe now the Locusts can do some damage.
Yeah, they'll set up on this one. Or at least
clear up some cannons. I mean, it's a super fortified base, but even just clearing up the cannons for now will open it up for later.
These Lurkers get a good burrow, and they get a lot of the damage onto the Archons. They just can't quite finish a couple of the lower health ones off. A good Prism pickup to save them, pulling them away. Now the Storm Host will hit that top side base like we mentioned. Storm's already on 2 High Templar there though, so it shouldn't be too bad with the cannons here. And a couple Storms and those Lurkers will not last too long. Couple cannons go down. Very affordable for Harstem.
And here comes the double Spire, as I said before. So Reynor is actually the only top Zerg that likes to play late game like this. Most other Zergs prefer Broodlords instead of Lurkers as the High Templar zoning tool. But if you have crew spread like Reynor has right now, which is very close to Harstem's space, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
If you also have a sick gun, oh my god, Harstem not looking at his army.
Oh, he gets caught a little bit. He runs in. Wow, he loses everything. I mean, the carriers get away, but everything on the ground gets taken down. He does have Zealots elsewhere on the map, so he's going to deal some damage and maybe force Reynor back a little bit. And he will start to clean up some of the Lurkers that are left in the center here as well, but at the cost of maybe a Nexus, because the Locusts come in. It feels like for the first time these Locusts go somewhat undefended, and a Nexus is the cost for Harstem. He will continue across the map, maybe feeling like he needs to get something done after those couple of losses.
Yeah, I hope Harstem just remakes Nexus and chills until he gets a better army, because right now his army is not equipped to attack into Lurker Spore, although I'm not sure how many Lurkers there is still left. Actually, there's 0 right now, so yeah. Never mind.
This is going to be Harstem though. It just feels like he's in a bit of trouble, can't really push forwards. Zealot's on the top side at least getting a drone or two, right? And Reynor is dropping to a lower work account, but it's an army comp that doesn't really mind being on a lower work account too much. Again, this is where Harstem, he's really fallen apart now, right? He's been defending against Nidus so well all game, and these Swarmers are now 2 waves in a row do mega damage. And now Harstem is essentially all in, going across the map off, you know, only 2 bases now. Obviously, his main doesn't really have mining, so he's in trouble. And as these Lurkers power up, the first shots on these Zealots are already huge, and Reynor knows, well, Harstem's really committed, so I'm just going to try and get back up this ramp, escape away, and just try and take a better fight a few moments from now. Maybe even wait for my Locust Wave to come up to help me defend as well. This is tough. This Harstem pressing forwards. The carriers are going to get caught. One of them goes down immediately. I mean, every loss for Harstem hurts so much when you've basically got to win with this, right? So, it's getting really tough.
He has very little breakthrough power. He, like, when he lost all his icons and immortals, he also lost the ability to break lurker and siege lines. Yeah. There are not that many lurkers, but you still, like, there's just no beef in this army. It's mostly just zealots that are tanking, and then it's 1 immortal.
And, like, some storms, and it's, there's nothing to really kind of actually power through and to kill anything, right? Like, the zealots are meant to tank. The storms are meant to, like, you know, get units low, and then the Archons and Immortals are meant to be what kills everything, but they're just not here. Now the Lurkers do hit a bunch of the High Templar there in the end, which is brutal, and I think the last storm goes down in this game. Harstem types out a GG. It's a hard-fought fight for Harstem, but in the end, Reynor is just able to make a couple of those catches on the army, is just able to keep it up for a bit longer than Harstem is, and is able to take that series 2-1.